A wild week in the Pac-12, capped off by the game in Pullman. I was actually there. So this video breakdown is going to be a first. Watched the game live, and now I'm coming back to you guys in my beautiful kitchen studio to break down the film. But a few things stuck out to me, and one is that the narrative around this game is that it's a tale of two halves, and it was. Oregon was a different team in the second half, but right now everyone's saying they made these vast array of adjustments in the locker room at halftime, but to me, it was more of them just executing at a higher level, and so I'll show you what I'm talking about. And on the Washington State side of things, they threw the ball 51 times. That's a lot. Maybe not as much as some of the air raid games we've seen, but 51 times, one might think that they're running this vast array of passing concepts and keeping the defense off balance with every snap. But that's not really the case. Washington State doesn't really reinvent the wheel when it comes to their pass game. They're just able to hone in on a core group of concepts and hit one of 5 receivers within that same exact concept, which gives it the perception that it's different, but it's really just them taking what the defense has given them. But it was a wild week in the Pac-12. Things are shifting around a little bit in terms of the standings, but this game was a great game, and let's dive into the film to see what I'm talking about. If you're Oregon, you're down 27-0 at halftime. Then you're able to storm back in the third, scoring 17 points to make it a ball game. Well, what changed? And like I alluded to in the open, to me it was them just executing at a higher level. And to show you what I'm talking about, let's check out this first play.
There. Herbert. That's a big-time throw. But
we just watched a 2nd and 11, a great pass breakup by Darian Moulton in Washington State. They're rolling at this point in the game. But what I want to point you guys to is the concept in general. Justin Herbert's going to have a drive concept by the 2 slot receivers with a dig and a shallow. And on the outside, if I'm teaching this play, he's got an alert. And it's a little curl route on the outside, a snap route for those of you that know the lingo. But his rules are, if that's there, he can take it. And he's not wrong by taking this snap route and throwing it on the outside. If he likes it, he can rip it. And that's a good option. But to me, there's a better option in that Washington State's bringing interior pressure. So as a quarterback in your head, you should say, all right, replace the pressure with the throw. And he's got a shallow coming right underneath. To me, I would love for him to throw the ball there rather than on the outside. Is it a bad read? No, he has every right to go there. But to me, it's an example of something's good, but there's also something better. So one could look at that as a missed opportunity in the first half, but how do they respond in the second half when they run this exact same play?
They got to get that pressure off the end, though.
Crossing pattern. And it is caught. It is Mitchell.
On a crucial 4th and 2 later in the game, you're down, you got to convert. Oregon went right back to the same play they ran earlier in the game that they did not have success on, except this time they executed the play better. It's the same exact play, drive concept in the middle with alerts on the outside. Justin Herbert could have taken the alert on the outside, but he's saying, all right, I'm going to learn from the first half. I'm going to replace the pressure with the throw, and that's what we see right here for a big 4th and 2 pickup. Now let's go back and check out another first half example.
Morton is another guy that's moving out of a position. They're flexible, but they're being manhandled right now, Tim.
On 3rd and 11, a mix-up.
Another tough 3rd and 11 that resulted in an incomplete pass. But when we go back and look at the concept, Oregon's going to run vertical routes by the slots on the inside and then comebacks on the outside. And so when you're teaching this play, Justin Herbert, his eyes are perfect. Washington State safeties rolling towards the middle of the field. Therefore, the seam route by the slot on the bottom of the screen should be the winner. But as we see, the slot receiver gets jammed up a bit. He's not able to get off the release. That should be the winner. But obviously the defense is playing this game too. They're not just going to let you run wide open. But Justin Herbert tries to fit in a back shoulder, and it's an incomplete pass. It's a win by the defense, but it's also information Justin Herbert can take with him when they call this play again later in the game.
Herbert. Nice.
There we found ourselves once again in 3rd and long, this time just in the second half. And what did Oregon elect to do? The same thing they did in the first half. They're going to call verticals by the slot receivers and then comebacks on the outside. They're going to get a very similar picture by Washington State's defense in that there's a safety in the middle of the field. Therefore, the seam on the bottom of the screen should be your winner. It's not there, but this time Justin Herbert's able to get to his comeback on the outside for a nice little gain, and it's able to put Oregon in a position to go for it on 4th down. Now let's check out one more example to drive the point home.
Schooler goes down to the bottom of your screen. Pressure! He got the pass away just in time.
A 3rd and 6 for Oregon. Half's winding down. They're in a 2-minute drill, and Justin Herbert finds a completion. You're never going to complain with completions, but I do want to note that Brendan Schooler's open on the bottom of the screen. This is an inside-out progression, and if Justin Herbert gets to his second progression, he'll find Schooler, and if he puts an accurate throw on him, Schooler might make a guy miss. He'll probably get the first down. Oregon's got 2 timeouts, so they're in a position to stop the clock and get a field goal. But to me, good completion, but a potential missed opportunity. But once again, they come back to this play in a crucial scenario in the second half.
They exploit it. On the opposite way.
Yeah, they go to Mitchell.
With 8:45 left in the ball game, if Oregon doesn't get that 4th down, the game's virtually a wrap. But what did they elect to do? They went right back to the same play they went to in the first half. This time they're able to get to the 5-yard in route, put an accurate ball on them, and pick up the first down. A crucial play, but not necessarily something they weren't doing in the first half. So there we saw it. 3 different examples of Oregon running the same play in the first half and coming back to it in the second half. It's not necessarily reinventing the wheel. It's not like they changed their entire game plan at halftime. It's just Oregon executing. And people always use that term like, oh, we got to execute. Well, what does that mean? You guys saw a few examples of how the Ducks were better in the second half than they were in the first half. But now let's check out the other squad. The boys in crimson and gray. The Cougs from Pullman. The Pac-12 leading Cougs getting it done behind their speed D and Gardner Minshew and Mike Leach's offense playing at a high level. A level not many people expected early on in the year, but let's check out a few plays to see how they're getting it done.
Swing it out. That's air booby.
Well, that's kind of boring, Max. That's just a 3-yard little swing pass. Like, what are you doing, man? Come on now. But that's exactly my point, is Washington State's not afraid to be boring. They're not afraid to just take what the defense gives them. And here it was a 3-yard swing pass to the running back, and it allows their offense to stay on schedule, stay on pace. Living in 2nd and 6. You'll take that all day. But what I also want to point out is the concept itself. Here, Washington State's going to run a mesh concept, meaning they're going to have 2 receivers run 4 or 5 yard shallow routes and cross each other. Then they're going to run some sort of dig or replace route behind it at 10 to 12 yards. So Minshew's going to work the crossers to the dig behind it, and if everything gets soft, he's going to swing it down to his running back. And when we watch it again here, that's what happens. He looks at his 2 crossers coming underneath. Not there, doesn't love the dig behind it. Okay, Oregon elected to drop 8 guys into coverage, everyone's soft. I'm just going to swing it out to my running back and get a nice little solid gain. So that's one way to attack the defense with that concept. Let's see how they use that same concept to attack the defense later on in the game.
It does have a pick. First play of the second quarter. On the check down, he goes to Patman.
This time it's the same concept, just flipped sides, and his eyes are going to start on the right-hand side. He doesn't love his back. He checks out his shallow coming underneath. That's covered. Then his eyes keep working back to the left for that dig route coming at 12 yards. That's covered. And then he finds his 4th progression, the shallow route coming from right to left, and he hits Desmond Patman with an accurate throw, and he's able to get a big gain. So it's the same exact concept, that same mesh concept. But earlier we had a cute little 3-yard gain, and now we had a nice little chunk play with Patman down the sideline for a nice little gain. Washington State then stuffs that play away for 2 quarters. And they say, all right, we'll come back to it later. We'll come back to it when we need it. Well, they need it here. Oregon's coming back. It's 27-20, 2nd and 10. Need a big pickup. They go back to that mesh concept. Let's see how they do.
Get some first downs in field position. But I'm curious now if they're going to put the pedal to the metal here. There's Travis Harrell.
That's an interception.
No.
Max, you didn't mention anything about a go ball. What was that? Well, that's the final chunk. And Washington State's willing to hit any one of 5 receivers or 4 receivers in the running back on any play. And so when we go back, Washington State's going to run that same mesh concept on the inside. 2 crossers, a dig coming behind, and their back getting out. But the final piece is the alert route. And I don't know Gardner Minshew's exact rules, but I'd be willing to guess if he loves the go ball on the bottom of the screen and he thinks his guy can run past the Oregon defenders and the safety's not in the way, he can throw it up and give his guy a shot. If we're being honest, maybe not the best read, maybe not the best throw, certainly got lucky, but the point still stays the same in that that's his alert shot. And if it's there, he can take it. So you got all these mesh routes underneath, and that's the home run shot on the outside, which turned out to be a huge play for Washington State down the stretch. So the point I want to drive home with this Washington State offense is they're able to attack you in so many different ways with running backs and receivers, slot guys, outside guys, whatever it may be. But oftentimes, it's just a core group of concepts that they're able to just run precisely and say, all right, we're going to keep running these until you can prove that you can stop it. and we might hit one of 5 different receivers on any given play, which puts a lot of pressure on the defense. So those are the 2 areas that stuck out to me in this pivotal Pac-12 North matchup. I don't know about you guys, but to me, it seems like every single week in the Pac-12, it's a championship fight. Every single week, there's some team that, you can scratch their name off the list. They lost their chances in the North or in the South. It'll be a fun last 4 or 5 weeks in the Pac-12 to see who can outlast each other. But let me know your thoughts on this video. Do you agree with what I said? Any questions, comments? Be sure to leave them down below. And I will see you guys here for the next episode.